Sarafice starting off, I believe, with some pros and versus other pros and other Joes, so that should be fun.
I think that's a great experience for the Joes. You know, now they get to play with the pro, so they got a little help there. They got some Joes on the other side they could probably get into the mix with, and at the same time they'll probably get some frags on those other pros on the other team. It's a team game, right? You don't know, be coming around the corner, shoot one of these pros in the back, and make you feel really good about yourself.
Just trying to pick up a few of those frags to write home about, essentially, of course, and that's going to be one of the highlight things to look forward to. But let's take a look at some of the players that we have, as we can take a look at them down the line on the stage, getting ready to get warmed up. Let's see that. Who do we have? We got Unholy coming back. I can see over there. He wants to test his mettle again.
It looks like he wasn't satisfied with that last game. He wants more. So. He came by our desk. I think I heard a couple excuses out of that mouth, I think, when he came over here. So we'll see maybe if he was right or wrong.
Well, it's looking like AZK and Rafa are going to be teaming up with some of our Joes over there on the right side of your screen. And on the left side, it's going to be ID and Dahong grouping up with Unholy and one other Joe. See how well they're able to play off here in this 4v4. Now, you'll note as well, we were talking about before about how there is a sort of draft to pick champions. It's no longer that's no longer a thing in Sacrifice. You are just able to freely pick and switch between these champions now when you get into this game mode, and you can obviously switch off in between deaths.
Correct. So that's also another interesting aspect about teams, like you said, different from Duel. Having that freedom to pick any champion you want after any death. You can make mid-game adjustments, So maybe a team's running a comp that's counteracting the champions. The next thing you know, you choose some different champions, and maybe it messes with the coordination and their setup. So, like I said, I'm very curious to see all the strategies that come out of this mode.
And that opens up the possibility for different roles, specialized roles for Sacrifice as well, that these players can take hold of. We had been mentioning during some of the earlier segments about how you can have a faster champion that may not have as much health but can move much quicker across the map. He's sort of the handoff player to run the soul in between the obelisk if you manage to steal from your opponent, or obviously when it initially spawns, just be that guy to pick it up, get it quickly to the other point, and then focus on just kind of moving around the map and trying to pick off players or indoor players, delay them from going for the primary objective. Whereas you can also have a much tankier champion that can serve dual purposes. One, obviously for defense, since they can just take a little bit more open fights better than some of the weaker champions can. And you also have their capability to just assault the enemy's obelisk itself, move on there, as you do have to stand on the obelisk for, I believe, 2 or 3 seconds to fully claim the soul, take it off, and then run away with it yourself. And having that huge health pool compared to some of the other champions, which only have, like 75, 80 health on some of them, is going to work out much, much better.
Yeah, I think you'll find in Sacrifice there are specific champions whose abilities are really suited for this kind of gameplay. Like the Sorlag acid spit, for one, as you pointed out, you have to stand on the obelisk to defend it. You got a Sorlag running around, throwing that acid everywhere. It could become a problem. Scale Bearer can charge and pull people off of it. So yeah, there's all kinds of different strategies and approaches you could take to this game.
And it's not only just that either, but in a lot of other game modes like this, you would normally have assigned points right at the beginning of the match, but that's not going to be the case here. Both of the obelisks at the beginning of each round are actually neutral. And so when the first soul spawns, it's also the opportunity for a team to go and bring the soul to your preferred obelisk, because each has their own sort of trade-off. Some have better access to weaponry, some have better access to pickups, whereas some are a little bit more easily defensible than the others. But the pickup has been done, and it's looking like Team 1 is going to be able to move in and claim control over Obelisk A.
Yeah, getting that first pick on the obelisk is definitely critical. Yeah, because like you said, you get to choose where you want your battle.
So right now they're doing a great job of being able to hold on to it here, but I need to be careful as there isn't someone now on it. You can see when it's blinking there, that means that someone is trying to steal it. So they're able to take that obelisk. It's now off the point and it's on the run over to the other side of the map, and they've succeeded in including that run relatively quickly, whereas some of our other players are still fighting over here for A. This is great, as some of the members of the opponent's team just run interference and try to distract these players, keep them away from the primary objective, which should now be to move in and take control of that soul and bring it back to your obelisk over at A.
Yeah, you don't want to get too caught up in fights. As you saw even with the interview earlier with Rafa, how he mentioned, you don't have to take all these fights. If you can get out of there, get to the objective, get to your teammates. Don't just sit there and fight.
ID and the Hung are having a little bit of having a few problems right now as AZK and Rafa hold good control of that obelisk. Unfortunately, the orb is going to end up going down, and it goes back into the obelisk. So the obelisk continues to stack itself up with some massive kills being done there by one of our Joes before he ends up going down.
Critical juncture coming up here in about 10 seconds. This first power-up spawn to see which team gets it. It's a big turning point if the team who doesn't have the obelisk control can really get that and you know, steal the soul with it.
It's looking like it is going to be protection that ends up coming out first here, which can be really useful for running the orb if it's not running the soul if it isn't necessary. But as you saw there, that was one of the faster champions. I believe that was an Anarchy being able to make that run really quick across the map in just a few seconds flat, and now it's already back over here sitting on the A obelisk with control there. And they're trying really hard to defend it. It's really only just one player. That single guy tries to move in and take control of it, but just doesn't really pan out too well. So see the soul back out on this point again. Soul Bear over here on the point, trying to hold control of it. Unfortunately, just not able to stack up as the soul itself still sits in the open, I believe, sitting on one of the players. There we go. Finally getting it back onto one of the points as they do succeed in getting the soul onto point B. So they'll have control of it here. And the action continues as they continue to try and fight for it, but Dong claiming another frag there opens up possibility for them to push up onto B and steal it. They're just over 50% now, and they're very aggressively moving out, being able to pick up some more of these kills here. As they move in, though, we can see the Anarchy trying to go in and make this quick run again. He's used his active, which gives him a bit of health back, but it's not going to help him out in the long run there, as he's still completely overwhelmed in a 2v1. It seems like these guys, it seems like team number one may have to try and work together a little bit better to get control of that obelisk, because they're going in one by one, and that's just not going to work out when they're set up this well.
Yeah, it's just not a good strategy. You want to take that little bit of time to group up with your teammates and do a coordinated attack. You like to say, it doesn't matter how great of a player you are. If you got 2, 3, 4 guys shooting at you, you're toast.
Well, the soul has been stolen, and now it goes down into the ground yet again, but it's very quickly being run back over here towards the B obelisk, and they're up to past 90% now, whereas the other team has only managed to get it over just over 20, so these guys are looking good. However, nobody's watching that point currently, so it's going to be very easily stolen, and now they'll try to run it away. They need to get away from here, though, as if the soul ends up going down within the zone, it just goes right back onto the point, and that percentage continues to tick up to 100. They managed to escape with it, though, so now they're going to run it back over to the other side of the map and try to keep this going, but they can't make any more mistakes. They can't afford to lose this soul again, as if they do, it might as well be game over for this round, and they'll go down early on here.
It looks like it got intercepted on the way to their point there, so they're gonna have to do something here to keep them from winning on Team 2.
We're gonna see an attempt at a gauntlet kill right up in the face. It's one of our Joes that moves in to take him down. I should say another one of our Joes, but now that orb finally found its way over towards the obelisk here at A itself, and oh, it was a nice kill too. But a lot of action going on to try and hold control over this obelisk towards A. Out too well, as we can see, they're trying to steal it away. It's the Scale Bearer that's managed to take it. He's going to toss that back up to a teammate. As the soul's on the ground there, but it doesn't seem like there's anyone immediately available to intercept it. That Ranger unfortunately got cut off by an opponent. Quickly, though, the rest of these players grouping themselves up, consolidate it, and make sure that they get that orb back under their control.
Yeah, I don't think his teammate realized he threw the soul up there for him.
And the Hog ends up in a poor position there, outnumbered 1v3, but ID picking up quite a few kills himself here too, but he is also going to be low now, just at 25 HP. He's got to be careful to make sure he keeps himself alive, but all that damage being done, and oh, only to be picked off by AZK just a few moments later. They've got the soul onto the bridge, but again, it's been intercepted, so now it's on its way back over towards A.
Interesting. Team 1's getting a little momentum here. You know, they've clawed back into this game a little bit. Some good defense, and they might get the win here.
They've done a great job of kind of grouping together a lot more, too. That's what I was saying is the issue before, is they kept trying to move in to try and steal the soul away, but they were doing it in a fashion where they were just pushing on to the obelisk one by one by one. That's just not going to work. You have to group it. You have to work together as a team. Here's the issue, though, with this team playing as aggressive as they are, is they didn't really have anyone paying attention. This is a nice theft, or attempt at a theft of the power-up here. I think actually Anarchy fails to fully pick it back up and now needs to escape. You can't take a fight versus an opponent that is fully powered up, and they now need to move around to try and locate this soul. Like I said before, they really can't afford to let them get it back onto their point and tick up to 100.
Yeah, the team 1 really needs to be all over team 2 right now. Make sure, because see, they already got it on the point. They need to get there now as a group. There it is.
There was one player, I think, jumping around over towards the bridge obelisk. Unfortunately, it just didn't really play out as he, again, found himself alone, and that went back to the core issue that this team had earlier on. So, round number 1 is complete, and our red squad is going to be able to take control of that. Now, keep in mind, this is played in a best-of-3 fashion, so the blue team is not out of this just yet. They still have at least one more round to save themselves, but they need to win out from this point forward.
I think if they just work together a little better, you know, they got to get in these fights together, like you said, and really work as a group to push these objectives. So hopefully they make an adjustment.
Getting back into it already. These guys just a little bit of fragging action to start off the match, of course, but now with the soul being spawned, it becomes absolute chaos to hold control of it here. On the ground currently, but it's looking like back under the control, and the whole team is moving together, now unchallenged, as they'll head over here towards Obelisk A to take control of it. Immediately, though, it's being assaulted at this point by ID as he gets it on the floor, but oh, the rocket shot right to his face, right to his feet, I should say, to get out of there. But unfortunately goes down, and we see another gauntlet kill from some of our Joes.
That's one of those situations when you know you're going to get fragged, you're low, you got the rocket launcher, and you say, you know what, well, I'm going to make sure I put 100 damage on you on my way out.
Defend point A.
Well, point A still holds control of the soul, and as it has been so far for this entire round. He's going to try to move in, and their opponents tried to steal it away, and you can see there again that Scale Bearer moving in to try and take it. They have succeeded on taking the soul outside of the point, but they're being chased by multiple opponents. They've got to be careful. That's a lot of damage they're going to end up eating up here if they're not careful about it. He does not have a whole lot of assistance to be able to support that, but they complete the run. They get the soul back over to Obelisk B. At the moment, though, it's not being very well defended. Just one player sitting on top of it, trying to keep it out of the hands of their opponent. So it's easy for the Scale Bearer to walk on, and beautifully done as well. That's Rafa lining up the shot against ID. And with that, able to steal the orb away and just tosses it up to a teammate so that he can make the run. He's going to be a lot better suited for that, as the Ranger has the extra speed.
That was an excellent pass up to the bridge. Looks like, because he had that low position, which isn't very advantageous, especially for getting away. But he had his enemy in high ground, and he made a nice pass to him.
So, Soul's still out in the open for right now. However, it is looking like these guys still managed to hold control of it. Oh no, it's gone down though, with it right at the power-up spawn too. So it is looking like our Ranger has managed to take control of that power-up. So he's got himself a little bit more freedom now. He can get extra aggressive. He can jump into these fights and not to worry about going down so quickly since he has that extra power-up to play with. But meanwhile here, AZK stuck in a 1v2. He's doing all right. Now he's able to hold on, but just can't survive for that last kill. Thankfully, I believe he had a teammate come in just seconds later to be able to trade that back out.
Yeah, it's interesting, the protection pickup. That is very critical. It reduces damage by a ridiculous amount. I mean, you're pretty much running around. You're a constant tank. It takes so much damage to take you down. I think a rail will only do like fully zoomed in, powered up, like 15 damage at that point or something.
Nice lockdown by Nahang there, moving in, able to secure himself a great spot. Unfortunately, the soul goes down to the ground, just throws it to his opponent there. And now he's going to run it right back over here towards Obelisk A to try and get it onto the ground and start ticking them back up. They still have a hefty lead over here for the players that control Obelisk A. Well over 50%, whereas I believe their opponents are in a similar position as they were in the last round, still down at around 20%.
One of the things people need to understand, maybe that was a little bit by accident, that soul throw, because you can't use your active ability when you have the soul up. So maybe he was in a fight thinking, oh, I need to use this active ability now. Oops, I threw the soul.
We've already seen players try to get actually creative with that limitation, though. Specifically on Scale Bearer, we've seen quite a few times people will toss the soul into the open and then actually charge into the soul, picking it back up and giving them obviously the huge speed boost that comes with it. Well, Dahong's going to find himself in a bit of a rough spot here. He's picked up one kill, but so low AP, and on that jumper there, it's going to be easy frags for Rafa to be able to claim that trade out. And now 93%. And with the team having full control of it, it's looking good for, I believe, Rafa's squad to hold control of this round and maybe just claim the whole match. But ID going to move in here, trying to hold on to it, but AZK denies, puts it onto the ground, and he's got a huge amount of damage just in this one life. He'll finally go down. They're trying to contest it as it's on its last percent, and they just managed to steal it off of the point. But now, for the first time so far in this match, we've got the quad damage coming back in, and it's in the hands of Rafa. That's a dangerous combination.
Yeah, it was a good steal, though. AZK, man, you know, the way he jumped in there, he did some major damage before that steal. But yeah, watch out. It's a Rafa quad run now, so.
He's already gotten a good 3 to 4 kills since he picked this thing up, so he's a monster not to be trifled with. As him and AZK are going to try to run their orb back. and be able to claim this round as well. All they have to do is toss that in, and assuming no one's there contesting it, which, well, they're not going to be now after ID just gets destroyed in that fashion. But Obelisk A, as you just heard, is going to go down, and with that said, Team 2 is going to claim round number 2, and they take this match 2-0. Rafa, AZK claim victory here.
You can see there on the scoreboard some of the dominant play from Rafa, going 35 frags, only 11 deaths. AZK also followed up with a nice score as well. They really have that other team on their heels if you look at the scoreboard, just in terms of the frags and deaths. And again, the other that could be a result, as you said earlier. They were kind of running in one at a time. Probably could have done a better job of grouping together and attacking together on that obelisk.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like it took our second team to take quite a bit of time to sort of get themselves together and kind of get the ropes behind things and how to play together as a team. Whereas with AZK and Rafa, they seem to know exactly what they were doing with their team right from the start of it, and they executed that beautifully. I think they got both of the initial soul pickups on the beginning of both of those rounds. They got the obelisk control that they wanted to get, and with just all those options available, along with just the superior skill that was coming out from those two individual players, it seemed like there was no stopping them except for a few moments there in that map.
Yeah, the critical, again, the ending when they let Rafa, when Rafa got the quad damage, they were in trouble because they were already, the obelisks were getting close to capture point, the sacrifice point. And, you have Rafa running around with quad damage. I mean, you got to make that coordinated attack as a team, especially for the power-ups like quad and protection. You need to drop everything. Don't worry about where you're going on the map now. Get with your teammates, whatever weapon you have, just get there and try to run interference and get that power-up.